Happy welcome to a new video, and I only want to say hello to all Growatt SPF5000 owners out there. So what is this video about? This video is about some recent updates of my inverter PV setup. What I'm doing here, some of you might have seen this kind of mess of cables here on the wall or sticking to the wall, but I want to give you an update what I achieved the last few hours and days here by doing some research. So first of all, this is I don't know when I did the last English video, because I'm doing German and English videos, and I don't know about the actual information status, but I'm planned, or I was working on doing some updates to the setup and get the slave inverters, for example, in the night shutting down, yeah, while hot plugging it, or I call it hot plugging because this is never mentioned in any of the manuals of Growatt, but you can switch off in a parallel setup, not a three-phase setup. So please be aware doing this, but in a parallel one or single-phase setup, you can switch off inverters while the inverters are really running under load conditions. Yeah. So what I'm having here is, at the moment, this is the host inverter where the battery and the dry contact is connected to this kind of relay switching and ATS functionality here. And this inverter is at the moment in off status, yeah. So I can show you what's happening right now. I have two relays, or two contactors or relays, however you want to call it. This relay is switching on or manipulating the switch down here on the host inverter, and I did also a change on the slave inverter. So what you see right now, there's if you can see it, this on-off switch has right now 3 status, yeah. So it's a 1. On 1, it's a normal on position, 0 is the off position, and position 2 is the winter standby energy saving mode, I would call it, yeah. And the same I did on the host inverter here, yeah. So I exchanged the switches here from this kind of switch to the other switch. And why it took so long, because I have to order some of these terminals, if I didn't mention it before. So yeah, right now the inverters are really updated with the recent changes. You will not have a warranty lost on this, because you don't open the casing, and the warranty seal is still intact on both inverters. So the only thing you do is, if you switch to position 2 on this switch and on this switch, you have those inverters in a kind of winter energy saving mode. And I will right now show you what this is doing, yeah. So at the moment there's only one inverter running, yeah. This is the host inverter, and the host inverter is running usually, or is running for the whole time, yeah. There's only one condition which will switch this inverter off, and this condition should be when the battery hits parameter 12. Let me show you. Parameter 12 is 20%, yeah. In my last video, I'm just uploading in German, I still had some other percentage values here, because I tested a little bit around with, but this means, but what does it mean? It means that when the battery is discharged to a level of 20% and the 3 BMSs here in average hit the 20% value, yeah, the dry contact shuts off this ATF or switches this ATS to the source B, and source B is here the power or the grid, yeah. So I can manipulate this by hitting this for showing you what's happening then, yeah. But let's explain you what I did, yeah. So I have this ATS. This can switch between PV power from the inverters, and it can switch to the other source, is the grid, yeah. What I have here is some dry contacts on this side and this side, which have different kind of states, and it was a little bit tricky to find out how those working, but right now I have a good clue about how this ATS from E-Tech is working, and the dry contacts are switched through or not, or yeah, to on-off conditions, yeah. What I have more is a smart relay fuse switch, which you can program via Wi-Fi and the Tuya or Smart Life app. So you can give it a different kind of status, or you can give it an on or off status by getting external conditions hit, yeah. For example, if you have sensors, you can say a temperature above this, switch it on or switch it off, or you can say a luminescent sensor above this value, switch it on or off, or you can say at 6 o'clock switch this off, at 6 o'clock PM switch it off, at 6 o'clock AM switch it on. Or what I use at the moment is hitting the sunrise and sunset condition, especially on my geolocation here. So you can geolocate in this app where you are, and then say when the sun sets, switch it off, when the sunrise happens, switch it on, yeah. And you can program offsets with it, so it's super versatile, and you have so much options with these kind of Tuya devices. So yeah, this was the way how to do it. I had a YouTube comment from other YouTube user, and who said, yeah, why you're not using why aren't you using device which measures the voltage of your PV in, so you can switch by really, if the PV in is below a value, you can switch all this kind of contactors and stuff like that. And I tell you why I investigated in this solution, but I came to a conclusion that I don't want to use it, because there's not that big value out of it, and it makes it more complicated, yeah. So why I didn't use it? First of all, I only found two manufacturers who had a switch, who had a measuring device in place, which can measure up to 500 volts DC and DC voltages, yeah. And this is quite crucial, because if you don't have a DC measuring device, you cannot use it in the DC circuit, like it says already here, and you need also the range where it can go, yeah. So this is the first thing. The second thing is that I really monitored a little bit how the inverters work, and in the evening and morning times, when the sun rises or the sun sets down, you will see that the MPPT is really trying to get how far the device can go, and it leads to massive voltage differences. Yeah, so it could go from 150 to 300 volts, while the MPPT is trying to get control about the amperes which it produces. Yeah, so when I realized that, I can tell you, I thought, oh, this is not a good idea, because in the morning and afternoon or evenings, this kind of switch measuring the voltage will really often switch on, switch off, switch on, switch off, because the MPPT is trying to control it and get a little bit estimation how much power it can do. Yeah, and this is not healthy for all the components. Yeah, and it's super hard to control if this switch is switching on and off every in a minute, maybe 5 times or so. This is not a good idea. So this is the reason why I didn't get to this kind of solution and decided to go with this kind of relay. The second one is the other device I explained just before with measuring the PV voltage. It was quite expensive and really hard to get in Europe, where I'm located. And these kind of switches here, which you can really program with a lot of options, you can get everywhere in the world, and it will cost you 20 euros, yeah, or around about $20, let's say, yeah. And this is nothing to think about. So let's explain you a little bit how much I spent at the moment. So this device, this ATS, was around about 30 euros. This switch was 20 euros, so we are at 50 euros, and each of those relays were also around about 20 euros. Yeah. So let's say you need some cables and stuff. The whole thing, which is controlling the inverters right now, is about 100 euros in total. So this was a no-brainer for me. And yeah, let's say I spent much more than 100 euros to figure out how to do it. But for those out there, for those of you out there, this is not a big deal, because the components are well known right now, and you can rebuild it soon when I provide all the circuits and cabling plans. So yeah, okay. Long story short, I want to show you what's happening right now with those inverters. Yeah. You can see right now those two relays. Yeah, this relay is red, so it means it's in on condition, or the coil is really active, and the green one in off status. Yeah. These two relays are controlled by different kind of conditions, and this is what it makes super complicated for me to find out a way to get all those conditions met at the same time. For example, let's say you still have battery left. Yeah, your battery is 50% charged. You are far over the minimum value of P12 of the main inverter. You want to have this inverter powering your house in the night only with 5 kilowatts. Is the drawback, yeah. But this was never a drawback in our house or home right now, because we are not charging cars in the night. We are not using a lot of electricity in the night. We are sleeping mainly in the night, and if there's something if there are some consumers on, then it's that the hardest or the consumer with the most most consumption is maybe the water cooker or something like that, yeah? So one inverter is enough for powering the house in the night, yeah? I have to say, I have 2 electric cars in the car, in the garage, so I'm charging my cars, but I'm doing this controlled by a Raspberry Pi, and also if I'm doing it manually, I'm doing it within the day when the sun is out, yeah? When I know that I have overconsumption or overpower from the PV. So one is on, and this one is basically on all the time, yeah? There's only one condition, and I will explain you soon what this condition is, that this inverter is also off, yeah? Then I have inverter number 2 or slave 1, and I can have multiple of those inverters in a single phase setup, yeah, for getting more power via the MPPT input, yeah. But we have only 2 here at the moment which are powering everything, yeah. So on both I have PV connected. On this is a string or 2 strings with 4 kilowatt hours, and on this there is on this are also 2 strings connected with 3.6 kilowatt, and not kilowatt hours, kilowatt peak, and here 4 kilowatt peak, but 2 in parallel and 2 in parallel here. So in the night I'm not producing any power from the solar out there, so this inverter is going to off status, yeah. And I can manage this via this kind of switch, yeah. This switch is set to switch off in the afternoon at sunset and switch on in the morning at sunrise, yeah. And you can also program delays, so switch on 30 minutes before sunrise and switch off 40 minutes after sunset, yeah. You can do that. You can do that with this kind of thing in the Tuya app. And I did this also, but let's keep it simple. Let's say sunrise and sunset, the switching status change. So on sunrise, it switches on, sunset, it switches off, yeah. So right now we are in a good condition. We still have power. We are at the moment at 36% of power of the battery. This is here, and in the morning at, let's say 7:30 at the moment in Middle Europe, the sun will rise. We will switch this on, and I'm pushing this and watch this kind of display right now, and I'm doing it right now. And this inverter will switch on. So by switching this relay on, and it's red right now, before it was green, yeah, if you can remember, this will switch on this inverter in a winter condition, yeah. And I can switch it off, or let's wait for it to synchronize with the other inverter. Takes a few seconds. Right now it's coming, and it switched over to power the load. And now, good. So both are powering the load right now and sharing the load, yeah. Right now I'm switching it off again. You see the relay switches off. Inverter is going to off status. It takes around 60 seconds because it's waiting for maybe another on condition status, and then it switches off completely, yeah. So you see the main inverter or the host inverter is not affected from anything right now, yeah. But where does it make sense to have the main inverter also switched off? And there's only one condition I had the last 2 days when my battery ran into the minimum consumption, into the minimum capacity of 20% stays there for the whole night, and this inverter was on the whole night and waiting for PV coming back, yeah? And I can show you this by manipulating this fuse right now here, because this is the same, it makes the same situation like the inverter hitting the minimum capacity of the battery. And let's look at this. If I flip this down, this one switch over, this one switches off, which means shut off the main inverter completely, yeah? And we are doing this right now. It switched over to source B, to grid. It switches off the inverter, yeah? And let's wait for a second until this, or for a minute until this inverter is going to the off status, yeah? And I can tell you what I figured out here makes these grow inverters. No, it's not a grow inverter. It's a Growatt SPF5000ES. In my opinion, the cheapest and most versatile inverters, or off-grid inverters, which are available at the moment, yeah? So you see right now the inverter is shutting off. Some of you might say, yeah, how do you get this inverter back into status? Because the dry contact, which is controlling the ATS here, is not working anymore as long as the inverter is off, yeah? I can tell you, those inverters in the winter time, which is in my area from end of October or beginning of November to end of February, switches on by this kind of smart relay, and the smart relay switches on every day when the sun rises, yeah, or a few minutes or 20 minutes before the sun rises, yeah. And let's do this, or yeah, I will start this right now, and then you can see what's happening, yeah. But before I'm getting this condition back, and 1, 2, 3. So both inverters start with the sunrise every day again, and it's even what kind of status both have been in the last night. They are starting up. They are figuring out which one is the host, which one is the slave. Then they're starting the internal modules and taking over the grid. And when they're taking over the grid, you will see something. The ATS is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bunch. Okay, so the ATS is switching back to PV. Both inverters getting the power from the PV, charging the batteries, taking care of the load, and only if the battery is below 20% and it's night and no PV is present, the ATS will switch over to grid. And this is how an off-grid system should be and should work, yeah. And I don't want to make other manufacturers bad or so, but it makes for me the most sense how this setup is working. And for the prices of the Growatt SPF5000ES, this is I don't know a competitor at the moment, yeah. Even Victron, who I think, or even Victron can do, I'm quite sure Victron can do this somehow, but you have to take a lot of efforts, and it's not that versatile, and it's a lot of components you have to buy from Victron, and it costs you maybe 10 times the price like the Growatt. I can tell you these Growatt inverters are at the moment available for around about 550 euros, and this is a no-brainer. I can tell you it's a no-brainer. It's you can make a bargain and save a lot of money if you are able to deal with those kind of wires. And this is a kind of joke. I will deal with this kind of wires because at the moment I'm in a kind of testing condition, but it looks super good for me, and yeah, I will give you an update in the next few days when I hopefully get all this kind of wiring figured out and made a kind of circuit plan, but the functionality is given for now, and with that I hope you learned something today. And if you have comments, maybe some of you did this already or have an idea how to make it better, write it down in the comments, and let's discuss it a little bit. Yeah. So with that, I will sign off right now, and have a good night.